A friend was watching what she calls the regular news. I call it alphabet news. I don't usually watch this stuff, but it's made with the greatest mind control experts on the planet behind it. So if it's nearby, I can't help but focus and pay attention to it. And I could not believe the stuff they're saying about, the whole impeach Trump movement. I'm listening to the guy who's behind it talk about his intentions, and it was neuro-linguistic programming at its subtlest, a form of mind control. They straight pulling the emotional triggers, creating, let's say, there are a lot of Hillary supporters who just went emotionally ballistic when she lost. I mean, we saw it in dozens of places on television. Personalities paid to, keep their calm on television lost it. So professionals, God knows what we didn't see, but there's a lot of crazy people out there. In this commercial, this people's intention is to rally those kind of people specifically and turn them into a single force. Their objective is to impeach Trump. I'm not against that idea. I don't think he should have been elected in the first place. I never supported him. I did, however, call to task all these people who used nothing but lies and propaganda as a reason to not support him in the first place. I'm all for throwing the man in a swamp, watching him get chewed on while the crowds clap. He's a terrible human being. He has escalated the war. He has lined the pockets of the daddy warbucks. And yes, it is true he is not very presidential. And he is narcissistic to a degree that it makes him easily manipulatable. That doesn't mean he's crazy, because he's obviously very functional. He's a billionaire in real life, a very successful businessman. So this whole he's crazy, dysfunctional, no, that's crap. He is narcissistic, which makes him manipulatable easily. If you understand someone's psychology, then you can use it against them. He's too beholden to his psychology to be holding an office like that. I've never seen a candidate seriously presented by the alphabet news that was worth any effort to elect. The only reason I could see supporting any candidate whatsoever would be a platform of removing corporate money from politics, period. Making lobbying illegal. And maybe some sort of biometric voting verification. You gotta be alive, and you gotta be you. That's it. Get rid of the Electoral College. These are platforms I could get behind as for a politician, but until they're talking about saving us from corporations, arresting and executing the corporate body that controls Monsanto, or has any connection to the decisions it has made over the last 40 years, all those people should be stuck in prison. All these people who poisoned the water with lead pipe that they knew full well was poisonous, toxic. I mean, they poisoned thousands of children their children will be affected by this poisoning. The lead toxins will carry effects down for generations. And we're not even going to begin what they've done to the corn with intention, forethought, and malice. They researched this shit and added it on purpose. These side effects are not accidental. They're designed in. And the fact that someone designed these side effects into the genetically modified corn means that that person should be summarily shot in public. There need to be no trial. If you were involved with the decision to do this, then you're already convicted. And you're worthy of death. I do believe the death sentence should be carried out for people who have such maniacal intent that they have created programs and systems that have deleteriously affected millions of Americans, pretty much all of us. I mean, if you're not rich, you wouldn't even be capable of avoiding all of the things that they have created to affect you adversely. If you were born after 1970, there's a real good chance the toxins that have been introduced to your system will mean that your grandchildren are sterile because they're being continued upon the same, even more aggressive regime than you began with. Back then, they put it in most everything, and now they got it in everything. So anyway, this is my reaction to the news, the crap they're talking about, the stuff they focus on, the way they take your vision and direct it in the direction they want. Like, just after the eclipse, you guys might remember this. There was a report about a girl and her sister that just, poof, disappeared. There was all manner of concern, talk about it on the news. They were not only mentioning that it happened, they interviewed the family members. They talked to people in the area where she was last seen. Now, people disappear all the time. Go look at the fucking records of missing people. There are thousands. So the situation that they were showing wasn't abnormal. I mean, it wasn't something that was out of the blue shocking. There was nothing that was so extraordinary about it that they had to focus so much on it. This single broadcast had over 10 minutes with family interviews and people all told you how sad and touching it was. Yes, these things are true, and I'm not being callous, trying to discount the pain and suffering of these people in any way, shape, or form, but it is not so uncommon. I mean, the treatment they gave it, if they gave every single one of them, that would be the only thing they show for 24 hours a day, honestly. So they pick and choose what stories they put in front of you, and you got to wonder why at that minute were they showing you this story, the same story which they have available to them on any given day. It's tailor-made to whatever agenda they have, and the fact that it just pops up now in the fashion that it did tells me there's some sort of agenda behind it. Now you look at me and go, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would somebody do that? That doesn't make any sense. So you must be crazy. You're right, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me either. But if you watch closely enough with a rational thinking mind, you will see that it is intentional, in spite of the fact that it makes no sense to you. So then I start thinking as a rational person, what, okay, that doesn't make sense to me, so who might do things that don't make sense? And what sort of sense might this make to them? It doesn't matter if I believe that their intentions are rational, if they rationally figured out that this is what they intend and somehow purpose it to happen, then, well, they've got reasons. And the fact that they sound insane doesn't mean you're wrong. They call such folks conspiracy nuts. Well, that's a term they created too, another form of mind control, like the clown, Alex Jones. Okay, he came out with that Bohemian Grove story. That's pretty wow. What? All of our politicians involved themselves in satanic rituals, mocking human sacrifice? Are you really serious? He exposed this. Seems to be true. And well, the very next day after releasing this exposition, he's across the street from President Bush's house with a bullhorn yelling all kinds of insane and crazy stuff. So do they show on the news that he exposed the Bohemian Grove? No, they show that he's standing there yelling at this thing. And then you go look at the stuff. So, okay, you begin your search with, okay, who's this guy? With the idea that he's a nut job. Some dude who yells with bullhorns across the street at people's houses. The president's no less. I mean, they can shoot you for that kind of thing, right? So this clown has this whole expose on this thing that, okay, you're saying, okay, he's a clown, so who cares? He says this happened, that. Most people never even watch or listen or care. The fact is, somebody else discovered this stuff and was going to expose it. Alex Jones is a paid clown to make and present information they cannot avoid getting out eventually in such a manner that it's clownish. And and everyone who brings it up is associated with that clown picture they created for you. It's a meme. They did it to you on purpose. They're controlling your ideological communication blocks. It's called neuro-linguistic programming. Look it up. This is a real thing. Obama was a master of it. That's how he got elected. You're talking about a closet homosexual drug addict who got himself elected to the office of president in spite of the fact that his political career was ridiculous. Go look at his actual voting record prior to becoming president. And they never once during any of the campaign spoke about his political record, his accomplishments, or his achievements. That never came up. Why? This guy's going to be president. You got to read the resume. What has he done before? What successes has he had? What things has he shown that, were effective? And nothing. He's a political organizer and a friend to every Washington lobbyist you ever met.